until forever. This is a relationship podcast.
I still don't hear you in my headphones.
You should.
Oh, maybe that is you.
Who you think it was?
Hello.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me.
Okay.
This is a relationship podcast. And this is staying in.
What?
Yeah, because they need to see what we go through. They need to see what we go through.
Oh my gosh.
They gotta see what we go through.
Well, I really couldn't the first time. I could just hear him in the room, not in my headphones.
He's in the room. He's in the room. What's that from church?
He's in the room.
But yeah,
how befitting with what we're talking about today.
Very befitting. Again, we're not experts. We're just trying to help, and we hope that
sharing our journey with you.
Yes, and we hope that you sharing with us will help us. So always like, share, and comment. Above all, we want to hear from you.
Please interact with us.
We want to hear from you. So today we're going to get deep. Say deep. Say it.
Deep down in my heart.
Way down into my heart. We're going to get deep. And we're going to talk about... Normally she'll finish the sentence.
Last few episodes.
I feel so... I don't know what to say. Normally, we're just not connecting.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Anyway,
we are talking about...
You're not going to say it? How you going to flip it on me like that? Anyway, we're talking about
prioritizing God in our relationship.
Yes, we're going to talk about what it means to prioritize God in a relationship and what it looks like. What does it look like putting God first in your relationship? Are there different levels to it? Should there be different levels to it? Should it depend on whether or not you're married? Like, what does it look like when
do you walk away if they don't prioritize God at all?
Wow, let's start there because
that's kind of where we were last episode.
Yeah, and so we're kind of picking up, which is good. But if you are on social media, like 99.9% of the rest of the world are, especially TikTok, you see all of these different perceptions, perspectives, and views of spirituality.
Yes.
It's all over the place. As astronomy is part of it, and you know, people are talking about the Earth and the planets and how they align and how that, you know, determines this, that,
chakras
and the other.
And auras. And
yes, all of that stuff.
Burning sage.
You know, oh man, sage is everywhere. And, you know, just talking about the energies of people, and people got the crystals going. Like, it's everywhere. So you can't just say, like we used to just be like, you believe in God? Yeah, I believe in God. Oh, cool. What church you go to? I go to this church. Oh, you do? You apostolic? Well, I'm Kojic. And it's, you know, it's way different now. Now it's, well, I believe in God, but I believe we are God. Or I believe in God, but I believe God is a perception. It's a thought. It's not really a, you know, it's
or I believe in God.
Deep.
I just don't go to church.
Oh, that's a big one. I'm a Christian, but I don't go to church. Like it's huge. Everything is so spread out, and there's so many different options now. How important should that be?
Is it important to you?
Let's start there.
It's important to us.
That's definitely important to us. But let's start there. Is it important to you, and should it be? Should that be important?
I think that it should be important because your spiritual beliefs set the tone for everything else that you do in life.
Absolutely.
You know, it sets the tone for how you treat people, sets the tone for how you treat yourself. It sets the tone for your what's important to you, what you value, and how you're going to move forward in a relationship.
And see, it used to be that a lot of men didn't go to church, and it still is like that. So, you know, the thing for a woman to do would be to just accept whatever man and then pray him in to the church, which was extremely problematic.
I would highly not recommend.
Extremely problematic because now, you know, and my beliefs on this are crazy because, you know, I believe that as when you're a single woman and you're looking for a man and you're going to church and you're faithful to a church, that your man is essentially your pastor. That is crazy, but follow me, because you are patterning after that pastor, whatever man you want to be with, he's got to have those characteristics.
I don't agree 100%.
He's got to have and then
some women actually have their fathers,
yes,
or uncle in their life, or somebody in their life that is a believer that they may consider, this is what I'm. Yes, I like the qualities that my father has, or I like these qualities that my uncle has, or somebody.
But the reason I say that,
but I get what you're saying about the pastor.
Because the reason I say that is when you do start dating someone, and if they don't go to church, you start comparing them to your pastor, and you start talking to them about your pastor.
I guess
you'll say, "Well, my pastor says that we need to do this," or "My pastor teaches that we don't have sex before marriage." So now, the man feels like he's in competition with your pastor and not your God.
I guess. What do you do if the pastor's a woman?
Uh-oh. That's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not saying there's something wrong with women pastors. I'm saying, that in itself is a whole, that we could actually do an episode where we're talking about.
We probably won't right now. Not right now.
How pastors.
Maybe when we have some guests on.
That's a
good round table topic.
Yes, it is. How well, anyway. So how important should a relationship with God be, and how do you express your relationship with God within the confines of your marriage? How do you think we do that?
God rules everything for us. Mm-hmm. Everything goes back to God. How we handle our finances, how we treat one another, raising the kids. Everything goes back to God. Forgiving one another for something, believing for anything that we are working for or wanting to achieve or wanting to accomplish. Prayer is definitely, what does Michael Todd say? The secret sauce.
The secret sauce.
Prayer is the secret sauce. And God is very important to both of us. Now, our individual walks are very different and how we walk that out. But at the end of the day, we are always encouraging each other through scripture and through prayer.
Yeah, God is definitely the foundation of our relationship. One thing that I'll share that we do, just to get into specifics, our finances. We definitely pay our tithes first. So when we get paid,
that's the first thing I do on payday. I don't pay any bills before I pay taxes, and that's just a personal conviction that I believe okay, God's gonna get His first.
Yep, and that's also something that we do different from a lot of people, because we kind of pool our finances. We don't have. There's no my money, her money. It's our money. Whatever we make is what we make. We both have the same amount of money. Now, we do have different accounts. We have our joint account, and then we do have our own personal accounts that we put money into, kind of like we pay ourselves.
Do our own little things.
Do our own thing.
Surprise each other with something.
Right. But, and that's something that we do different. Because
and that wasn't always, but, over time we were able to grow to be able to do that.
But it was always that, because we came into our relationship with that understanding. What mine is yours, what's yours is mine. Yeah. And a lot of people don't do that. She paid this bill and that bill. He paid this bill and this bill.
Use your money.
I've
heard that before.
Yeah. And
where's your money? And I'm just like, well, it's our money.
But we put God first in that, because we have an understanding that regardless of the source of that check, we know the actual source of the check, and that's God. Yeah,
God is the source. Everything else is a resource.
Is a resource. He provided.
That's what our pastor has said. God is the source. Everything else is a resource.
He provided it. God provided it. So it belongs to Him, and we're just here to manage what He gives us access to. So for that reason, it ain't none of ours. It belongs to Him, and we kind of just have that attitude towards it. So that's one way that we put God first in our relationship, and I think it helps make things more harmonious within our relationship, because one of the major things that people break up over, especially marriages,
which is why I said finances last episode, but Corey didn't think that was a reason to walk away.
It's not a reason to walk away. It's really not.
But finances can be a reason why a lot of marriages
marriages don't work. Absolutely.
So yeah, we do put God first in our finances. We put God first when it comes to making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like big decisions, like should we do this? Should we move here? Should we buy this? Should we save for that?
And that took a while.
Yes.
Because I struggle with making big decisions, and I'm always wanting to make sure I'm not doing something that's going to make Sharonda unhappy.
Yeah, we talked about this y'all first episode. I kind of get a little like I'm playing double dutch. Like yeah. I'm like I'm not in on that one.
Yeah, so it's but definitely at the beginning of our relationship, like I would what does she want? I want to make her happy. Instead of me seeking God and saying, this is what God is saying in this season of our relationship. So that's something that we definitely grew into being able to
fasting,
do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. What's some other things that we put God first in?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, we have to. Overall direction in just pretty life has to come from God. I mean, I would rather consult someone who knows it all and who has all the answers and who knows the future and who knows every iteration of whatever thing that we could ever come across. That's God. Like who else could you consult to that's better than God? It's just nobody. So when you're on the same page, it works out so much different. Having a foundation that is rooted in godliness, because it gives you common ground. If we ain't got nothing else in common, we've got God in common, and I think that makes a huge difference. So how do you survive in the relationship when you don't have that spiritual foundation?
Listen, I don't know. Corey laughs because he says I always say that. I don't know. When there's this family that grew up down the street from my mom's family when she was growing up, and that's how she started going to the church where she met my dad. This woman was going to the church, their neighbor, and she was going to church, and her husband was not. She was faithful in attending church, and her husband was not. And I mean, eventually, she won him over to Christ, but my mom said, like she has said, she would highly recommend not doing that to any other woman, because it can bring, like Corey was saying, like it brings a rift in your home, it brings a rift in your marriage, and you're trying to move about, with biblical principles, and this other person in your home is not moving about with those same principles. And that's why I say, like, it drives the home, it drives the relationship, it drives your values as a person. And so in any relationship, man and woman, if one person is a believer and the other person is completely an unbeliever, like, that is the definition of unequally yoked, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't see how you can move about, like, it's like, I feel unprepared now because I think there's a scripture that kind of talks about this, that a lot of preachers use when they're talking about how a woman should behave at home, but how she should interact with her husband if he is unsaved and she is saved, and how she can win him over to Christ. But child, I don't know.
I don't know if there's a scripture for that. I think there was just rules.
You think they were just
that the church mothers was making? I think it was stuff the church mothers was saying.
Just do whatever he say, baby, and then just keep praying.
Girl, fix his plate. treat him like he's a man of God, and
I don't have a real answer on that. I feel like there is some scripture that somebody
it probably is. My mom and dad made it work.
But your dad, he came from a Christian family.
Exactly, strong.
I think that makes a big
background.
Difference.
So he knew, and he was just doing what he wanted to do until he finally started going to church.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes a difference.
That can make a huge difference. I don't. like, do you think your dad ever was like, I don't believe in God? Or you think he was just like, I just ain't going to church?
I think
church ain't for me. Y'all go to church.
Yeah. I think he just wasn't going.
There are a ton of families like that. I mean, even Steve Harvey has that testimony. His mother was a Sunday school teacher. He was going to church with his mother, but his father was at home every Sunday. But he better get his behind up and go to church with his mama. Like, there are plenty of people who have those testimonies growing up.
But that's why this generation is going to be so different, because we're now in the minority. When in the black community, church had always been a foundation. Yeah. Now, it's my grandmama used to go,
Or I used to go with my grandmother, or I used to go with my mom.
Yep.
But then, you don't go all the time. We don't even have CME Christians anymore. Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter. Like, people don't even go to church on those days anymore. They go to brunch.
Listen, Christians don't even go to church.
They go to brunch, So,
shoot, them holidays now, Christians don't even really. Definitely Easter. That's the our pastor says that's the Christian Super Bowl. So, I mean, for that, but it's. I think we're the minority now. The way that we're training our children, the way that we're teaching our children to have biblical foundations, I think it's going to make it very difficult for them in the future. Because
I just really pray that it doesn't, but I completely understand that they're probably going to face some pivotal decisions as they age. And, I'm just really praying at this moment. Child rearing.
Yeah.
That's another area for us where, I think I said that, but like the things that we teach them are based on biblical principles. Yes. And when you have a home that is split, that is divided on spiritual beliefs, then the way you raise your children can, it can kind of be like a whirlwind of craziness happening, where they just kind of getting a taste of everything.
Right.
Or they don't know which side to choose.
And that it looks very different now. Now, is that okay?
I don't know.
I think.
I don't know, because growing up, for the thing that I am concerned about the most with raising our kids is them having a relationship with God versus going through the motions.
Yes, absolutely.
I do not want my kids to
be like me,
be like I was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have a blog where I've talked about this. I don't want them to be like I was, where you're 25 years old and you realize I've just been going through the motions. I went to church because my parents went to church. I sang in a choir because that's what everybody was doing. I danced on the praise dance team because that's what everybody was doing. And I love God because that's what I'm supposed to do. And I want them, like, I didn't know this, that Corey actually prays with them every morning before as he's dropping them off to school. Like, because I was beating myself up, like, oh, we need to be, doing more stuff with them. And it's like, he actually finds those moments where he can do that. And then there are times where they will ask questions about, why this, why that, how come this is like that, or how come these animals do this, or how come people do that. And I'll just be like, because that's the way God made them, like, I don't know. That's the way God made them. But I'd rather them learn now, because they are capable of learning now, how to start a relationship with God, than to just be going through the motions and then be an adult and just be like, why do I go to church anyway?
Right.
And then walk away from it. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Because, you get older and you realize there are these other religions. And, there are so many famous people. Who are we talking about? The singer Katy Perry grew up Pentecostal. Phil Jackson grew up Pentecostal. And these are people who, have totally other lifestyles than how they were raised now. And I'd rather them develop a relationship.
Go ahead.
Within their heart than to just be doing something out of traditional religious acts.
That is absolute. Here's the thing though. We have transitioned to this place where there are more virtual church members than there are physical church members. Like, there are more people in your city that belong to a virtual membership than there are that are getting up on Sunday mornings, getting dressed, and going to an actual church building. Yeah. COVID has a lot to do with that, but
I think it was
already happening.
COVID just kind of
pushed it and made it
over the hill, but it was already there.
Yeah, it was already headed that direction. COVID made sure it solidified it. So we're literally in the time and age now where there are a ton of people out there who are saying that they're Christians and they believe in God, but the only teachings that they're getting are from online at whatever ministry they belong to, and there's no.
If that, they may just be watching little encouragement videos on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, and you get a little 2 minutes here, 30 seconds there, 1 minute there, and you feel like, oh yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah, there's no foundation now, and there's nothing solid there that's helping you keep. This isn't grandmama's Christianity anymore. It's really this new age thing where accountability almost doesn't exist. So how do you build relationships like that? Like how do you enter into a marriage without a solid Christian foundation?
And you are a Christian?
Yeah, because let's not get it twisted. The world took marriage and made it what it was. Marriage has always been a biblical principle. Marriage has always been something from God, from the Bible, that was intended for a man and a woman to join together and be together and be married in holy matrimony under God. Blah blah blah. So, like how do we practice biblical principles when our very beings are no longer rooted in biblical principles?
I don't know.
What do you do? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy out here now. It's crazy. And I really believe that's why, you see a lot of same-sex marriage. You see a lot of, and I promise I didn't mean to go this way. And I don't hate nobody. I ain't speaking against nobody. I'm just saying that the things that were rooted in biblical principles are no longer rooted in biblical principles. They're just things that we practice and things that we do now. People get married now. I forget who said this.
Do what you want.
They get married now for the ceremonies, not for the meaning of it.
Yeah. So, the party. They want the party.
Yeah. I mean, just go out and have a party.
Nice dress in the party.
We never had our honeymoon.
We did not ever have a honeymoon.
Listen, we're going to put our Cash App down below.
No, we're not.
Y'all going to send us on the honeymoon.
No, we're not.
No, I would never do that.
No, every time, I think it was one of Corey's great aunts was offering us her timeshare, and both times she did, I ended up pregnant. Mm-hmm. And then we wanted to do something for our 10-year anniversary, and then COVID happened, and I wasn't comfortable to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And we were saving to buy a house. So it was buy a house or go on a really nice, really, really nice trip. Yeah. And for me, and Corey, it was buy a house. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, one of these days, we've taken little weekend getaways, here and there. But one of these days, we're going to get that really nice long vacation that we deserve.
One day. It's going to happen.
But yeah, to go back to the foundation of God in a relationship, if we have two believers, whether one has been believing longer than the other or at the same amount of time, I feel like there will be some balance happening there. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, like we have that thing that we have in common is that we love God. Mm-hmm. Is that we do believe in reading the scripture and in praying for the foundation of whatever we are doing in life. But if there is just complete and total, like, look, I don't do that God stuff, I'm not with it, and then the other person is, like, if you're not already in a committed relationship, like if that person isn't in a backslidden state, then to me, it's a definitely like, get out of there. I'm not saying like cut them off completely. Like if y'all could just be friends because they not for it. But if it's like a romantic relationship, then you probably just need to go ahead and cut it off. I know somebody that happened to. Like the person's family was in the church, pastors, deacons, mothers. They were born and raised in church, and they were like, "Listen, I'm not down with this God stuff." And they had everything on that person's list except for that. And I was like, "How important is that to you?" We're not saying they got to be a pastor somewhere preaching all over the road, but just to say that they don't believe at all, and like and they're telling you, I know you see my family is involved in this, but I'm not for it at all. Like, I'm sorry, you can have everything else on that list, but that to me is very important.
Yes, absolutely.
You can get a new job later. You can get a degree later. We can move into a condo later. We can buy a new car later. We can have kids or adopt kids or foster kids. But what we cannot do is hope for you to
find God.
Yes.
And I want to encourage, and we're going to close. I want to encourage.
Sorry, y'all. These closings be so awkward.
Oh, Lord.
So awkward.
I want to encourage those of you who are married or who are seeking marriage with an individual, and you're trying to figure your way through it, especially if you're married and you're having marital issues and you're trying to figure that out. You have to go to the basis of your relationship, which is God. And I promise you, if you get to the foundation of it and you seek God within your relationship, God will order your steps and God will see you through it. That is literally how you succeed in marriage. It really is. And we'll always tell you we're not experts, but the facts are the facts. The only reason we're here right now is because of God. God has kept us. God has brought us through so many trying situations, so many difficult positions in our lives, in our relationship. God has done that. He gets all the glory.
Not to say like God is this being that is controlling every little thing in our marriage, but it's like He softens our hearts where we can listen to each other. He corrects us and says, "Hey, yeah, you were wrong. Go ahead and apologize."
He did that to Sharonda
to wait. To wait, and like when we talked about purchasing the home, how it was just like, I don't want to look no more, and it was like, no, come on, here's this nudge. You look at this one because this is the one. It was just so many times, just for me, just basic encouragement about things that I desire, things that I have on the table. Don't give up on this. Do that. Desires that Corey has. When our family members are going through things, and it's like you just want to be like, listen, I just want to be done with that person in this situation. But then, like you're praying for that person or you're praying for that thing. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely important. It helps you get down to the foundation, to the basics.
Absolutely. You know what to do. List first.
I'm so sorry, you all. I really am sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, I won't say it no more.
Thank you.
I won't say it no more.
Like,
share, follow. If you're not gonna do it right, I am gonna say it, because that is not the order. Like, share.
I can't wait for this podcast to end.
Subscribe
right now.
Oh, I feel like I'm in danger. Maybe we should keep it going.
Oh,
which I will talk about next. Like, share, follow, subscribe. We want to hear from you.
Rate and review.
It's 2 R's.
It's been 2 hours the whole time. Should we roll the tape?
This is why we had that.
Roll the tape.
This is why list was necessary.
Oh my goodness.
But
thank you for listening to episode 4 of season 2.
We're gonna pray. Y'all want to pray right now?
See you all next week for episode 5.
Bye.